Godfather 2.
Terminator 2.
Ultra 2.
Ultra 2 right here. Keiran, what have you got in your hand?
Let's check out the Fender Ultra II. If our list of sequels at the start there didn't give you an idea of what we're looking at today, we are looking at the Fender Ultra II range. This is just launched from Fender, and we're very, very excited to be looking at these today.
These are so fresh out of the cases that, yeah, we can still smell the paint drying on these bad boys from Corona, California. And this one's pretty special looking.
That's pretty cool, that one. We've got quite a few new models and new sort of, I guess, innards to these guitars to be getting on with today.
It's a whole refresh of the range. It's a true sequel. It's like all great sequels. It's kind of similar, but kind of better.
Kind of better, which still holding the essence of the original. But let's just jump right in, man. I want to talk about the guitar that you've got in your lap. This is probably like one of the most exciting sort of parts of this new range.
Right, we've never seen this one made in a production USA range before. It was in the Player Plus a couple of years ago, Meteora, and it's, as you can see, quite a retro-tastic offset that's an original design, and within this there are quite a lot of the hallmarks of the Ultra II range, so we could maybe use this as a little kind of like testing bench to point out some new bits and pieces, although I suppose one of the main features of this isn't indicative of the whole range because it has two humbuckers, and that's not particularly Fender. So it's Haymaker humbuckers we've got here.
Let's check them out actually before we get into some of the other bits, because they're moved away from the humbuckers which you usually see in the Ultras. So yeah, let's check out these brand new humbuckers here, man.
Let's do that. Let's do that. And I'm straight into the trusty quad cortex as usual. And here we are on the bridge, nice and clean. Now that's the bridge. We have 3 positions, and there is also the S1, so we'll bring that in because we'll talk about that too. In between. Neck position. So already what I'm hearing is a humbucker that's not muddy, it's nice and clear. And it's actually quite Fendery still, you know, considering you're expecting this to be like a big rock behemoth. Now, S1 engaged, this is my coil tap. So in the neck position, it should just be the inner coil. Let's see over here. In between. And in the bridge. So actually tons of like Fender spikes still in there.
My main kind of takeaway from that is like that all of those sounds are usable.
Yes, indeed.
Which is kind of the big thing that, you know, certainly with like, I think we are kind of in a golden age of like coil splits that, you know, like I think, you know, you'll remember it, and you know, I remember it as well, like the first sort of like coil splits you would get on guitars, it would just lower the volume. You know, there wasn't actually doing like, you know, you're not getting that spank, you're not getting that proper kind of single
promises
coil.
aren't being made.
No, not at all.
But you know, this has another trick up its sleeve.
Oh yes.
Since we're on the subject of the controls, you may be aware of this from other brands that begin with R, but this has, it's basically a bass contour, it's a bass cut, and it's not the most obvious thing in the world, but that's maybe why I think it's quite useful. So back in at full humbucker mode here, what I'll do is just gradually go back and forth when I'm doing a wee trill or something. You can hear it's not a single coil sound in the slightest, it's just thinning it up.
Yeah.
Just getting it out. So that's it without it. then back in, full bass. So that's quite subtle.
You can use it gives you obviously the ability to use that to scope your tone just without having to touch pedal.
That could even be like verse, chorus.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And
Very
then
cool.
And then that middle one is like, it's the opposite end of
treble. So for all your homemade wah-wah sounds. No, it's more subtle than that actually. Everything here just sounds good.
It's so usable as well.
Straight out of the box, yeah, very cool.
And obviously one of the highlights as well, I guess, before we kind of move on to, you know, maybe the Strat that's in my hand right now, that the colours obviously are the big kind of new thing with the Ultra IIs as well.
Fresh
here.
palette.
Absolutely, which...
Yours is nice. What colour is this?
This is the Solar Flare, this one, which I'm actually kind of enjoying more and more as I look into it. It's this kind of like greeny, yellow, golden switch.
There is a bit of green pigment in that. Fender are amazing at doing their metallic colours, as they have been since the DuPont colours of the 50s, and that's no exception now.
Yeah, it's really... Actually, you know what? Let's pass this to Raycam so you get just a bit of a highlight on this, but I do want to play it.
Yes, okay, fully understood. Now, I hope you can see that. I'm letting the light pass over it, and we should also add anodized pickguards.
Yes.
It's quite obvious in some of the finishes when you see the sunburst and it has the gold anodized, but so are these. This is black anodized, and the photographs don't always pick that up, but boy, is this a good-looking guitar. Okay, I'll give it back to you now.
Thank you, cheers.
Sorry.
I was choking to play that there, but...
Well, I can't wait to hear it.
Let's check these out. These are obviously the brand new Ultra II noiseless pickups that are in here. Vintage inspired, which I think a lot of people have been kind of crying out for, which...
That was the thing missing, is people wanted the mod cons of a contemporary Fender, but they still want that vintage, especially on a Strat, that vintage tubby tone.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's check this out on a clean tone as well. I'll just cycle through all the pickups and initiate that S1 switch at points as well and explain what's going on. Really reach for that.
Oh,
natural
harmonic. That was nice.
So the Stratocaster doesn't really veer too far away from what you were getting in the original Ultra S1 configuration, much like the Meteora that Ray was just playing there. The S1 is located just on the volume pot there, and you click that down whenever you obviously want to initiate it. Now, what you're getting is kind of a mix of like different sort of calibrations, I would probably call them, per position. Maybe configurations is maybe the right word to use. But for example, if we stick on the bridge here, obviously with the S1 up, that's just your classic kind of sharp, you know,
what you expect a bridge pickup to do in a Strat.
Bridge single coil there. Yeah. I was thinking of humbuckers because I've got those Haymakers on my head there, but obviously you've got... Now kick that in, that's actually going to bring in your neck single coil there as well, which is more of a kind of sort of tele configuration, as people would see. Then if we move over to the next one here, which is obviously your kind of classic Mark Knopfler. My worst Mark Knopfler impression there ever. And you click that in, that'll initiate all three of the single coils. which is obviously not a sound that you're really getting, you know, with a sort
All
of
three
traditional.
single coils, yeah. So basically, it's bringing the neck into the first two positions.
Pretty much,
and
yeah.
then they would be in there anyway.
And that's quite an easy way to sort of look at it, that you're bringing in the neck on any of the positions, because actually when you move over to your next, you know, 3 positions on there, you're not actually getting any change on that. That's just going to be your kind of classic. Oh. So it doesn't give you too much room to be confused, which I think is the good thing, because like I think if every single one of them did something different, you would maybe be a little bit more kind of, you know, oh, what's going on with that?
Yeah, and you know what else? It doesn't matter what you do with that S1, it's always going to sound really good. So if it's on by accident through your whole set and you don't notice, that's why you're getting that extra sweet sound.
That's it. But what I want to do very quickly, and what I want to hear from that as well before we move on to
some
another
rock.
guitar, let's get some gain on this.
Somebody's been practicing their Steve Vai.
Oh, thank you. I knew there was some strats coming in, so that's why.
Yeah, lovely, lovely.
Now let's hear these guys.
It's 2 humbuckers, man. We want some rock. Okay, so I have my quad cortex, and I want 2 different flavors of overdrive. I'll just add the second one as I'm going, and no doubt you'll hear the difference. Okay, let's see what we get. This can rock quite hard, actually, can't it?
I definitely felt like I got just a Haymaker right to the face there, to be fair, with that
Feel
big,
that rock.
thick tone. Now, you'll notice
Wait.
I switched guitar.
Something happened. Was that not playing it?
Through the power of rock, I've changed to from a Stratocaster to a Telecaster, but also camera trickery came into play.
Yeah, we can't guarantee that'll happen at home.
So this is the Telecaster in the lineup. This is obviously the sort of iteration of this with the Texas T finish that so many people liked on the first batch of Ultras, which I'm really glad that they brought this colour back with it. And there's a couple of kind of differences with this Telecaster, which I think have made people, you know, like who maybe aren't into tellies, this is again that sort of like modern Fender sort of like look to it, which I think a lot of people will be really happy with.
Yes.
First of all, I think the most sort of obvious thing being, and this isn't anything new, but it's something that a lot of people like, is this is a contoured telly. You've got the nice arm bevel there. You've got the nice tummy cut on the back.
A comfy telly.
You've actually got the arm, not the arm, the hand cut out there
the
as well.
Ultra XS.
Which obviously for anybody who is into that like dusty end of the fretboard, this is going to be really, really good.
We should say that's true of all of the Ultra IIs.
It does. It comes on every single one of them,
Ding dong.
which is super, super cool. But then there's a couple of little differences with this as well that I do want to touch in, but I want to hear this first. Let's see what the script is going on with this Telecaster. classic Telecaster tone right there.
And no noise.
No noise, which actually, let's throw on my biggest distortion just to show you. So I've just thrown on a rat style distortion that is at about 8 gain right now.
On a Telecaster?
This should
Are
be
you crazy?
Screaming,
Yep.
man.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
ridiculous.
Totally.
So let's see how that sounds as well.
I felt like I was driving really, really fast along a beach highway there.
That was good. That was the sort of
Oh,
thing I
you're
was
trying to
going for. Yeah.
Whoa.
Very quickly as well with this, I'll talk about just the S1 option that is
While
in
you
here.
do that, I'm going to grab another guitar.
God, you just
Think
gave away
about
the
that.
Hollywood secrets, man. The S1 switch in here, of course, as well, has got a slightly sort of different sort of configuration than you would expect with the other ones as well, with it only being a 3-way selector, which this gives you a different option in the middle, which as a traditional Tele is, you're getting a parallel sort of option with the 2 pickups there. And you heard when I put that down there that gives you a much kind of thicker sound. That's putting it in series, essentially turning this into one big old humbucker just with that. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about just very quickly, just before we pass on to the HSS model here of the Stratocaster, is, well, actually 2 things that I want to touch on. I'll now a little highlight on this that I really quite like. It's an offset like Tele switch. You know, that usually goes like directly like north and south, I guess, if we're talking about here, but this actually goes at an angle here. Very just small sort of detail. But very quickly that I want to talk about as well is the board options that you're getting on here.
I wanted you to talk about that so
Thanks.
much.
I read your mind, that's why. We had 2 maples to start with, and now with the Telecaster, this showing the ebony option.
Yep.
We're sticking with maple, we're sticking with ebony. That's your kind of like primo sort of like option when it obviously comes to the Fender like higher catalogue, I guess, you know,
Yes.
or the higher sort of stage of the catalogue, which is cool.
Not only is that the case, the necks are quarter sawn maple. Quarter sawn maple, the people talk about it, and it is a premium thing, and it basically means that when you look at the log, you can chop them one way, and there's a certain amount of strength, and it comes at a certain price. You chop them diagonally, goes against the grain, makes the wood itself a lot more stable and a lot stronger, and therefore there's more wastage, so it's more expensive. And these have all got the quarter sawn maple, and I reckon that's a worthy upgrade. That's worth mentioning because
That is, yeah. A lot of people are really into that, and it is actually like quite a sort of like sought after thing when it comes to Fender guitars. But you've now moved over to the HSS model.
I've got a new guitar. Yes, the HSS Strat. So we're getting to the noiseless single coils that the rest of the range have, and this will be the Haymaker that you saw me putting through the paces earlier on the Meteora. Otherwise, another cool little thing is the saddles, stainless steel. So and also the block that the tremolo is in is cold rolled. Now I'm no metallurgist nor am I any sort of engineer, but that basically means there's more contact with the stainless steel.
Yes.
Which conducts better in terms of carrying the energy, so you should get a hotter, stronger signal with more sustain, which if you're a Stratocaster player is something you probably really want, since so much wood is chopped away for the tremolo.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and the same with the rolled steel block. It's machined to a higher level, so it should be more efficient at sending those all-important notes towards your amplifier.
Absolutely, and let's hear some of those more important notes right now. With
Well,
that HSS configuration there.
Let's see what I've got here. Neck position. That deep sound sounds like a drop D to me.
Oh, I'd set it up prior to just for some big riffage, man.
Yeah, I don't even want to play this clean. Let's just go straight to it.
Let's go straight for it.
there's one thing only an HSS Strat can do, it's go from that ridiculous level of lead metal fury to that Twin Peaksy gorgeousness. I mean, you really can't do that with anything else, particularly with the whammy bar, right?
No, it's the reason why it's been such a staple in sort of Fender fans and the Fender catalogue, I guess, for the longest of time, because it's just, I'm going to put it out there, that's the best configuration of pickups that you can get, but you can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Hey, Keiran, what colour is this?
That is Sinister Red, this one. That's one of our new colours.
Another metallic one.
Along with the Noble Blue, which I've switched over to, just as Ray was playing there as well. This is obviously the ebony variation on it. We've got the Noble Blue, we've got the Sinister Red, both sporting
the black anodized guard, and you will notice when you look at the different options, for example, you've got the white parts there.
Yep.
Mine are black, because I obviously rock harder than you.
Oh, of course, but on that note...
Yep. Hey.
I'm going to swap you over to your last guitar, Ray.
Oh, whoa. Time for me again. Now, let me just mute that a second.
Thank you. That's you.
Hey, it's another Stratocaster.
And this is our second colour that has carried over from the first edition of Ultras as well. This is the Ultra Burst.
Ultra Burst.
But as we were talking about the colours of that...
Check it out.
Cream options.
Cream options with gold anodized guard. That is tasteful and cool.
Absolutely.
Which aren't always, mutually exclusive. Locking tuners as well, it might be worth adding for all those who are looking for their specs. You won't maybe be able to see it with all the lights that are shining on our faces at the moment, but these guitars all have luminally side dots. So they glow in the dark, so no matter how dark it's getting at the dog and duck when you're doing your heavy blues sesh, you'll be able to see whereabouts in the neck you're travelling to, which is very handy for a pro and semi-pro player, I'd say.
It is very handy, and of course the neck as well is that classic modern D shape that we've seen on the Ultras. It's the 10 to 14 inch compound radius on there. We've talked about obviously having maple or ebony options on there with medium jumbo frets, along with obviously those luminlays, which, that's one of those things that kind of the modern sort of word in front of the shape of the neck there, I think really kind of like epitomizes everything about the Ultras, because what I find, and you'll find it as well, when a customer maybe comes in, someone looking for a Fender style guitar, but they don't want to go for that kind of classic 50s, 60s sort of option. They want the applications and all the sort of like accoutrements, I guess, on the guitar to be just that little bit more, I guess, modern friendly, Do you know
the way I look at this is, see a classic Strat, you might have to fight it a wee bit because it has a curved radius and it has lower output pickups and all those other things that make old Strats very cool and very idiosyncratic. That if you don't want to lean into that direction, but you still want these are classic Fender bodies, proper headstock, the whole bit. It's the three controls. They are classic instruments, but everything about the kind of more invisible aspects are different. You mentioned the compound radius, and for folk who aren't too down with that, it starts with a relatively, it's still a wee bit of a curve at 10 inches here. The frets actually flatten out. So up here it's 14 inches, so it's flatter. It means when you're whizzing around it's easier, and when you're chording down here, it feels more comfortable. So you didn't get that in the 50s.
No.
Fender are recognising that people might want their guitars to still largely look as they always did, because wow, they're gorgeous, but some of those advances, even locking tuners, even S1 switches, these are things that are going to make your playing experience better, particularly if you're a gigging player, if you're in the pit at a theatre, if you're doing lots of covers and functions, or even if you just grew up with grunge and alternative metal and all that stuff, where the vintage guitars are maybe going to be close but not quite hitting the nail on the head for what you need tone-wise and as a player.
So all in all, really, the Ultras are basically what people were trying to do in the 70s and the 80s by stripping all these 50s instruments and absolutely butchering them. But Fender have done it well this time.
Yeah, they've done it for you properly, and there's new, fresh colours and really nice things. I mean, how often do you get ebony boards on a Strat?
That's it. Especially against that blue is stunning. And of course, unfortunately, we have neglected the basses this video here.
But we'll get to them.
We will get to them as well. They come in your usual P bass, jazz bass, 5-string jazz bass, and a Meteora as well, which obviously is our new sort of shape for this line, and they come in all of those stunning colours as well. But we'll be focusing on them a little bit. But I think that's us covered pretty much everything to let the good people know what's going on with these Ultra IIs.
The only thing you need to do now is step into your local guitar, have a shop for yourself, try and decide which of these amazing colours is going to work for you, and welcome to your new Fender.
That's of course. And if you do want to see any of the new colours on any of the other shapes that we haven't featured in here as well, all the links will be down in the description below to take you to the website to check out this brand new range, along with all of the other guitars and the basses in the Fender line, because there's been a lot of really cool stuff this year that has launched. But thank you so much for joining me again with us, Ray.
You know, it's quite my pleasure, Keiran. Thank you for having me.
It's always fun to get a couple of perspectives on these guitars as well. And as Ray said, jump into your local guitar store the next time you're passing by to check out these brand new guitars. But until next time, I've been Keiran.
I've been Ray.
And we've been checking out the Fender Ultra II range. Have a great day.
Adios.